Okay, so I've got my two main roof shapes done, and now I want to add in these little really awning roofs that we've got over the entry and over the balcony there. Yep, yeah, sure, no, yep. So with the first one over the entry, I'm going to show you a new tool I don't think you've used yet. It's called Roof by Extrusion. And so to use that tool, you generally need to go to an elevation, and I'm going to go to the west elevation so that I can see those entry doors front on, and most importantly I can see the wall there, this one, that essentially is at the back of where our roof's going to go. So, okay, so it's this wall here, and you can see it over here as well, so it's that line there, and that is again where the back of the roof sits, and it will project forward from there. So we need to be able to look at the face of that wall, so the view that we use is important, and so now that I can see that wall, I'm going to go, clicking on the down arrow there, under roof, to roof by extrusion. Okay, so then what you'll see is this option to choose a work plane. So there, I'm going to leave it on pick a plane, click OK, and then I'm going to pick the edge of that wall that I want to be drawing on, and I'm going to zoom out there so it's a bit clearer, and you can see the whole wall being highlighted. And it is highlighting the bottom. It's just that it's hard to see it because the ground line there is covering it up. But you can tell because it's also got the outline of the door opening that's being cut into that wall, and that tells us which wall it is. If it was the wall, also it could be the edge to the right, so you can see there that's a different wall on the side. We don't want that one. So again, probably the best way to get it is to go to the top and make sure it's also highlighting the door opening, and we know it's the correct face of that wall. So I picked my wall, and now it's going to ask me for the level, and there I'm going to change it to, again, upper floor CL, the same one we used for the other roof, for both of them. So that's it. So I'm just going to click OK. And over in properties, make sure I've got that generic 125mm roof. And then with the line tool selected in the draw panel there, simply going to draw a line. Actually, I'm going to look at the formation first just to check that shape. So, yeah, that'll do it. So, really by eye, I'm going to draw a line from the edge of this wall with the angle, I think 45 should be okay. And here, they're not even. Now, I don't expect you to work out the exact position of the ridge, so again, just by eye, I'm going to bring that up to where I think the ridge should be, and then come down and to the right and just snap to the edge of the wall there. That's okay. So I've just right-clicked to choose Cancel, and now I can select either of those lines, and then to adjust them, if I use the up and down arrows, you can see there that they'll stay connected. And if I choose the one on the left, of course, same thing, they'll stay connected, and I can just fine-tune that shape to get a better look, essentially. Again, we know it's not symmetrical, and there's probably no point trying to measure that since we're not building it again. So I think probably happy with it like that. So I'll click tick to finish, and that's going to make my roof shape. And I can see, well, actually, maybe I do want this side of it to come closer to my door. I'm going to look back at the elevation there. I think the elevation might not be 100% correct anyway, but yeah, maybe do want to bring it down a bit more. Okay, so to edit it now, again, when that roof's selected, we can just click Edit Profile, and it brings the sketch back. So I can maybe select this line and I'll nudge it down so that it's a bit closer to my door. I think maybe the door needs to move over to the right a bit more anyway, so I'm probably happy with it like that. And I'll maybe bring this line down just a little bit more as well though. And then tick to finish, see how it looks. Still a bit ordinary, but if I select the door now and move that over to the right, yeah, it's starting to look a bit better. We can keep fine-tuning though, so again, selecting the roof, edit profile, and play with that just to get it to look a bit more presentable. It's never going to look great if it's not symmetrical, but that's the way the roof is actually built. So now I've switched to a 3D view so that you can see what's happening with the depth there, and it's obviously going to the back and it's going too far. So to correct that, I'm just going to select that new roof, and then over in properties you can see it's got extrusion end and it's set to some number that was already in there, which is not right, so it's minus 13,000 roughly. So I'm just going to change that to, let's say, 1,000. Enter, and you can see now it's brought it forward from that wall. Now I think that might be a little bit too far, so I'm going to go to our reference drawings. You can see there, yeah, the roof that there you can see finishes before the wall. So maybe 1,000 is too much, so I'll maybe try 800. And that should bring it back to, well, that's in line with the wall, so maybe 700, 750, something like that. Should be about right, so yeah, maybe in between 750. So that shows you the basic properties of a roof when it's made by roof, with roof by extrusion. Essentially you have the shape, or the profile, which you can see and work with in elevation. And then you have the depth, which you can adjust in properties. But you'll see that either in the 3D view, but another one to look at is the site floor plan, where you can then see all of your roof shapes from above. And so again, we can see the roof there with the ridge showing, and of course the edge of the roof there set back from the wall. So it's good to look at these 3D things in a range of different views and really get a handle on the form of it. And so then I'll go back to the, so actually I'll stay in this view for now. And, oh no, sorry, I'll go to another floor plan. So I'm going to go to upper floor CL to start my next roof. And you'll see why I've gone to this level in a minute. So to make the final roof form, it's got this curve that you can see there. And you can see it's using the same curve in this direction. Even though it looks like it's projecting out a bit more there, I don't think that's correct. I think it's actually the same if you look at the photos. So that's the way we're going to draw it. So it's the same all the way around. And so in, again, this upper floor CL floor plan, now I'm going to go to model in place rather than using any of the roof tools. They won't do what we need. So again, with model in place, you can still set the category to roofs. So as far as Revit's concerned, this is still a roof, even though I'm not using the roof tool. So I'm going to click OK, and I'm just going to leave that name, Roofs 1. I'm happy with that. So then the tool we're going to use to make this roof is Sweep. So I'm just going to click Sweep, and then we have to go to Sketch Path. So with Sketch Path, then essentially what we're drawing is the position of the gutter. Right, so you can see there the gutter running at the bottom of the roof there. And looking in this view here, again, you can see it there. And again, you can just do this by eye. So roughly in the midpoint of this wall, but again, only roughly, you don't need to be too precise. I'm going to start there, come out to the left, and it's probably about a metre. So I'll do it that far, a metre, and then coming up to again about halfway in the middle of this wall, so about there. So what have I ended up with? 1460, that's fine. And then back to the right and finishing at the wall. Then I'll right click to cancel. And so this is the path of our profile. And what you need to take note of there is the position of this plane. So that line there with the dot in the middle is actually a plane, and you'll see that in a moment more clearly. So just make sure you know where that is. It goes on the first line that you draw. So that's why it's important to start the line where I did. So now I'm going to finish my path by clicking tick. Then I'm going to switch to the west elevation again. So now we can see that that thing that looked like a line, looking at it from above, you can see is actually a cross, which shows you again that it's a plane. That's called a profile plane, and that's what we need to draw on. So up the top there, you'll see this profile section, and if the edit profile button is grayed out, you just need to click select profile, and that'll wake it up. And then you can click edit profile. And then I'm going to start with I'll start with an arc. So below the line tool, you have the arc tool. The first one is start end radius arc. So we'll click there, and then click onto the dot there in the middle of that cross. And again, just by eye, I'm going to come up and to the left to do a diagonal line. Like that, and then bring it out so that I get a curve. So now I'm going to come up and to the left again, but maybe at a steeper angle, and then bring it down to get my second curve. And I'm trying to snap there so that it gives me the tangent, which gives me a nice smooth curve. And then I'm going to right click to cancel twice so that I can select my new arc and just bring the top down so it's not curving back over itself. So I'm going to bring it down a little bit so that it's not quite as long. There we are. So now I can finish off just by drawing lines. So going to the line tool there in the draw panel, I'm going to start on the end of that arc. Come across to the left a little bit, don't go too far here, just try and keep that really short, and then down, and then back across to the start. So that's the profile that's then going to be swept along that U-shaped path that I've drawn. So I'm going to finish my profile, but then I'll show you in 3D, so you can see how it's all going to go together before I finish the sweep. So I've drawn my path, that's the black line, and then the profile you can see there, sitting perpendicular to that path. So now I'm going to finish my sweep, and it extrudes that profile around following that path. And that gives us the roof shape. Don't worry about the little gap there, we can fill that in later, if you even notice it. You probably won't even need to worry, but if you want to, you can definitely fill that in. But that's it. If you can get that done, it's a good way of getting used to the sweep tool and practicing with it a bit, but also knowing how to make different types of objects using the modelling tools. Kind of. That's more like Revolve. So the idea is that you're extruding, but following a path. So if you've ever seen the gutter people that sometimes come onto the your different sites and can make gutters any length, and they can make them follow around different shapes, different paths by bending them. So it's that sort of idea. Or even if you look at things like a cornice, or in this room we don't have too many, but skirting boards as well are a good example. So the skirting profile can be swept around the whole shape of the room. So that's the same idea. So it's a profile just like you draw with an extrusion, but instead of having just a height, it can follow any shape you like, any path. So that's the basic idea. So in this case, though, it was half, you're right, but yeah, it doesn't have to be. Okay, so that's it. I'll finish the model, and then I can save the file. So yeah, if you can get the roof done, you can see mine doesn't look exactly like the one in the drawing here, but that's okay, it's good enough. And if you want to, you can always modify it, and maybe I will show you that. To modify it, you can select it, go to Edit and Place, then select the sweep, go to Edit Sweep, and then I want to change the profile. So I'm going to select Profile, and then Edit Profile, and then maybe I'm just going to select this little line here and try using the arrow keys to nudge that a bit higher. And then when I finish it, of course, it's going to extend my roof shape a little bit. Now, it's also too high, and I do want to bring that down. Let's just look at the drawings again here. So it should be at about the same height as this one. Okay, so I did it on the roof, the ceiling level. But we've got two ceilings, or it's maybe, it's because the door there. Sorry, so the problem is, this door is actually too low. We need to put a fan light in above that. So instead of moving this roof down, I'm going to move the other one up. And using the arrow key, the up arrow on the keyboard, I can do that in a 3D view. So that's probably good enough, something like that. And then later, there are doors that have a fan light. So you can just change it, and I'll quickly show you that just to finish off. If I select the door, to change it to a new one, the little trick is to go to Edit Type, and then click Load. And then you can browse through your library. So again, I'll go to the Revit library shortcut there to go to the P drive. And in the doors folder here, you should have some that have fan lights. There's one there. A bit of a plain door. It would do the job, but I'll go back up a level and go instead to the Chew library where I know there's a bit more. So in the doors folder there should be quite a few that have fan lights that are a bit more ornate, or the style that we want. Here we are. So there's one. That's a French door. We don't want that. This one, that's better, but it's got glass panels. Maybe we don't want that either. So further down, we should have some others. That's similar. And then going into these folders, there'll be more again. So in Swing Single, here we are. We've got some more doors with fan lights. That one's, it's not too bad actually. That's up to you. You can just choose from those. And here we go in the sorted. We've probably got a few others. This is one of the other teachers put this together. So I'll use one of the more interesting ones. So yeah, I'll try this one. And there we are. So I've got a fan light, and yeah, it's probably a bit too big for us. So we can always try and go to Edit Type and see if there's an adjustable top panel height. There we are, 935. Also 965 is a bit too much, so I'll make it 600. And and it's not working. Okay. Some of these families, again, they're made by one of the other teachers, and he didn't always make things fully adjustable. So anyhow, you could always just lift the roof up a bit higher for now, and that would be okay. And otherwise, try another door. Edit type, load, and I'll just try the other planar one. Where was it? Oh, it was in swing, sorry, that one. Single swing. Yeah, this one. And so it says fan light adjustable, so I'm hoping the fan light is adjustable on this one. Again, I didn't make them, so not 100% sure. But there we are, fan light height, 500. So I'm going to try maybe 400. Oops. And yeah, it has brought it down, that's better. Even though it's a plain door, maybe it works better. And then the other door is a French door, and you've got the one for that. The other one in the tube library actually should be pretty good. So doors, and down the bottom here there was the French door with the fan light. Okay, it's huge, but that's not a problem. Looking in the properties here, we can see there are some different sizes set up, but they're not what we want. It's funny, it says traditional double French door, but real traditional French doors would never be that wide. But that's okay, we can always just go to edit type, duplicate, and put in the new name, which will make 900 by 2100, and then just change the width down here to match 900. So that's much better. And the architrave here is pretty terrible, I've got to say. If we press space to flip it twice, that will reverse it, but in fact that's worse, so I'll keep it the way it was. And just use the arrow keys to nudge them into position, and yeah, it's not the greatest family, I've got to say, but again, back to edit type, and I'll change the rough height there to, let's try 20, I was going to try 2000 actually. That's a bit too low, so I'll try 2100 again. That's pretty good, and then the fan light hopefully has a parameter there. But maybe not. Okay, so let's have a look down the bottom here. There we are. So there is the fan light height in properties. So that's something you've always just got to keep an eye on. Some of the properties will be in the type properties, but others will be in the element properties. In other words, just the properties panel. I'll try 400 again for that fan light height. And, well, it's under my roof. Maybe it's a bit low, but that's okay. But the main issue now with that door is the architrave. We don't want that. So I'll show you one last thing. If I go to Edit Family, then I can select that architrave that we don't want and just delete it, both sides. And then I'll just click Load into Project and make sure I've got the tiny house project selected. Click OK. And then choose this first option, not the second one. Really important that you choose that first option, override the existing version, and it takes that ugly architrave off. And then, yeah, we have to go and look at the style, maybe. That style width is quite large. So maybe we'll try 50. And yeah, so that reduces that frame thickness at the top and makes the window and everything look a bit better. To change the top there, that sort of arch shape would be a bit more involved, but we'll maybe have to look at that later. I don't think there'll be a parameter just for that. But even like that, it's good enough to start with, and we can always fine tune it. So, and the balustrade, maybe we'll come back to do the railing later, but if you want to have a go at that, the railing tool will give you the balustrade around that balcony. But again, we'll come back to look at railings later. I'll give you some time to try those things. That should give you most of what you need for those outdoor areas.